Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's aging president, Robert Mugabe, has blasted internal feuding, threatening to split the ruling party over his succession and declared he was still in control. Mugabe was quoted as saying that there is some war going on in his party. Mugabe's remarks come after his wife Grace claimed in mid-October that Vice President Joice Mujuru was threatening to tear the Zanu-PF party apart and plotting to overthrow the veteran president. To discuss this, we are now joined by SABC correspondent Shingai Nyoka in Harare, Zimbabwe. Thanks for joining me, Shingai. Now, how can you sum up President Mugabe's speech for us? Were there any surprises?
Well, there were very little surprises in his speech at the opening of Parliament. It was very subdued, probably a reflection of what's happening in the economy. Many of the issues he touched on, Zimbabweans were already aware of. The fact that this particular session of Parliament, they will be focusing on aligning the remaining pieces of legislation to the Constitution that was signed into law over a year ago. This has been one of the sticking points. Many of the laws in the old Constitution are at odds with the law, with the tenets of the new Constitution. So that's really one of the issues that he said this Parliament will be focusing on. Other issues that he touched on that people would have wanted to hear is the fact that the government will be providing seed, it will be providing input in the upcoming agricultural season. On the issue of indigenization, he spoke about the fact that the government will deal with people who are allegedly acting as fronts for foreign companies. We've heard that many farmers that have acquired property under the farm invasions have been leasing out some of those properties to white farmers. And President Mugabe said that this was against the spirit of indigenization. But other than that, it was a very short speech and very little in terms of insight into what's actually happening in the party. Many people had wanted him to talk about the issue of factionalism, but he didn't do that. He only did that at a luncheon for mainly his members of his party after the opening of Parliament.
Now, Shingai, the succession battle has been a hot topic for the country, and President Mugabe has lashed out at some people for what he says is a plot to remove him from power, even referring to some as mere children. Can that be interpreted as taking a swipe at his own wife?
It's very difficult to say. President Mugabe is the person that most people want to hear what he thinks about what his wife has said, but really we haven't heard anything directly from him, either backing her up or putting her in her place. What he said at the luncheon yesterday was essentially that he will stay in power, that he's still very much in charge, and that there are people trying to oust him, but really there was no indication whether he was referring to the Vice President, as the First Lady has inferred over the last week or so. At this point, President Mugabe has been very careful not to appear to take sides in this succession debate, to the extent that last week at a Politburo meeting, when he shook hands with the current Women's League chairperson, he said, I hope that you, the Women's League, including Grace Mugabe, can put out the flames or the fire that you've started. And so really at this stage, he's still keeping his cards close to his chest. What we're expecting to see, though, is some kind of direction during the Congress, which is slated to take place in early December.
Thank you so much for your time, Shingai.
Thank you so much.